What we're going to do today is we're going to go to the garments area, and we're going to click garments. So whenever you need to create a new style, you, like everything you do within Niche, you click the add button, and that opens up the style creation screen. And then it's just a simple case of filling out this style, filling out this page. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to enter in a style code. Style code, all styles must contain a style code and description, and you can't obviously repeat a style code in a season. So one style code, and that's it for the season. It's a good idea to try and keep your style code as clear and as concise as possible and keep them consistent. What I'll do is I'll just create a style code, WS2208. Just, I don't know why I picked that, but that's it. It'll probably be a winter style. With the WS might be a story name, and 2208 might be just the style code of the garment. Then we enter a description about the style. So I might say this is a moonlight dress. Then we get to content. Content is probably one of the only fields that is not in Niche, as you would say, on the fly. So I can't just type in any content there that I like. I need to have in a separate setup area all my contents arranged. This is primarily for people who do exporting to overseas. Next thing that we'll look at is the department. You can use this for filtering and exporting your data, but it is widely used for our retail customers, and basically people who use our retail product RMS are required to have a department and category. Department is sort of a high level in the hierarchy. So you might have probably 4 or 5 departments set up, like dress, pants, accessories, things like that in the setup. And then underneath that you can choose a category. So for example, if I had one here called dress, then underneath that then you can see this category. We can actually choose what type of category we want to add underneath that dress. So it's a dress Bengaline, or I might have sundress or something like that. So it's sort of like a further description of the item, the dress, and then you have sundress. Then we have label. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just you might have various labels that you can choose from. You might have different styles that you're creating under different label types. Again, this might be important for our web customers where we need to distinguish what website a style will go to, because if you have multiple labels, you could in theory have multiple websites set up with those labels, with the appropriate styles going to the appropriate website based on label. But at the very simplest form, it's probably just a case of choosing your company that you're doing the work for. So I'll just choose Niche there. Then we have range, and then we have story. Again, this is excellent for reporting purposes and is essential for certain reports, like there is a new lookbook report in the system, and there's a new lookbook report in the system, and that requires you to have a range and a story. Also for our web customers as well, it's important that we set this up because it could be used for the way the customer can navigate through your website. So again, you can just pick or add a new range into the field. So I'm just going to make one up here. I'm going to call it David's range. and it's going to add it to the list. And you can see there now that David's range will be there for the next time you want to select it. All of these fields are, as I say, on the fly, but that can be a little bit dangerous. So I would always recommend you check that the department doesn't already exist before you type it in and select it from the list. Otherwise, for example, you might end up with two departments. Someone's typed it in as dress, which is the one you should have probably used, and you've just got to type in dresses. So now we've got two departments, dress and dresses. And then down here we have story. That's sort of like a subset of the range. So I might call the range my moon range. My moon story, I'm sorry. And that a story is sort of like a group of like-minded styles. So I might have a range, within my range I might have a story collection of 4 or 5 moon items. And then I might have 4 or 5 sun items or something like that. Then we get to job number. We'll probably do another session on job and job tracking at another time, so I might just skip this field here for today. Then we go to the style code. That's the manufacturer's style code. So if you are an importer or a wholesale, you're buying the goods wholesale, you call the style yourself WS2208. However, your manufacturer may call the style ABC123, and you may want to raise a purchase order to the manufacturer for ABC123. So that's the purpose of that field. If it's the same style number, regardless of the supplier, you can just leave it blank if you like. Down here we have pattern, and this is where you could type in the pattern code of the item. So you might have an old pattern code that you've redone for this particular season. You can enter that pattern code for the maker or the cutter to utilise and enter that in there. Weight, and you can see it's actually weight in kilos. This is where you could put in the actual weight of the item, and you can use that for Niche to help you calculate the freight automatically and add it onto the invoice. So you can in Niche set up different freight structures for different countries that you're delivering to, and depending on the weight of the item, it can work out how much freight you need to assign to the item. This again is especially beneficial for those of you who use our web products. Then we have delivery period and delivery date. This is a useful field if you do multiple drops throughout your season. For example, you might have a March drop and a July drop, and you need to figure out how much materials you need to use for each particular drop for those particular styles. So it's always a good idea to put something in this delivery period field. So if I type in March there. Then we have delivery date. This is, you might put in March there, but you could actually put in an actual specific date. So this one actually demands a proper date be entered. And then down here we have the field manufacturer. And you can actually select a manufacturer from the list that's been presented. It's very important if you're an importer or a wholesaler that you choose a manufacturer, because when we go to create purchase orders in future sessions, the system relies on the fact that you have this manufacturer already set up in the style level code. Then over to the right hand side we have our colours, and this is where you can actually enter in the colours that are making up the garment. Now, you can have unlimited colours within a style. The rules are, though, that the colours are all going to be sold at wholesale at the same price. So if you had a red colour and a white colour, those would both be sold at the same price. If the red had a different fabric to the white, then you would need to actually split up the fields into, split up the styles into two separate styles, because they would have a different selling price. So, you know, one fabric might be a lot more expensive than the other. But if they're all going to be selling at the same price, then you can enter in as many colours as you like. I hope that makes sense. So we've gone in and added our colours. I might just add another one here called blue, because you'll notice how, because that blue doesn't exist, you can actually add that colour in. Okay, so down, and if you need to delete a colour, you can just click on this little X with the arrow pointing towards it, and you can remove that colour from the list. Then down here we have our sizeway structure, and you can actually set up your own sizeway groups here. Now, each style can have up to 18 different sizes within it. That means, so I could set up a style that starts at small to 4XL, or small to 5XL, or something like that, and then it'll ask me to add that style group to the list. So I can say yes, and I can type in that size range. So you can see there I'm putting in size as S, and I'll put in size M, put in size L, size extra large, extra large, 4XL, 5XL. Okay, and you can add that size weight group in, and that'll be there for next time I need to use it. But you see how I double clicked on that wholesale item? You can double click on it and then just put in a selling price. Again, I can click update all, and it will then add that as the new wholesale price. Same thing, if I've got an indicative cost price at this stage, I can double click on it and I can enter in a cost price. And you can see there it's worked out what my markup is. If I wanted to, however, I could go to the markup and say, well, I actually want to mark it up by, say, only 500%. It would then work out what my new selling price should be. And then I can click update all, and I've now put that item at $60. Down here we have status, actual and estimate. I highly recommend that if you're creating a style and it's not being finished, then you actually set the item up as an estimate. That way you can actually filter all your estimates, and you know that's what you need to go back and fix up and make sure that the costings have actually been completed. So that's how you set up the sizeways and the wholesale price, and also the total cost. One thing I might add is you'll notice we've got sizeway 1, sizeway 2 and sizeway 3. Most people don't use the other two sizeway groups, but in theory what you could do is you could have a group called small to extra large, and that was selling at one price, and then you could have like 2XL through to 5XL at a different price, because obviously you're using other fabrics or additional fabrics.